The first thing I'm going to have you do for this scoliosis practice is to take a blanket and roll it into a bolster from the short end. If you have scoliosis, one side of the waist will be shorter than the other, as you probably already know. You may need to adjust the size of your bolster to fit between the lower ribs and hips, as you now lie face down on the blanket. Rest your head on your hands, close your eyes, and relax your back, your hips, and your legs. The bolster presses into the abdomen, inviting symmetry between the two sides of the lower back. That support makes it less difficult for your lower back muscles to relax and to reclaim space in the lower spine. You may be uncomfortable at first as you lie over the belly bolster. You can modify the pose by placing a folded blanket under your chest. This will reduce the pressure of the abdomen against the blanket. As you become more comfortable, you can stay on this bolster for increasingly long periods of time. The more you relax your back, the more you relax your belly, the more deeply and more comfortably the bolster will be in the abdomen, allowing long-held patterns in your back muscles to begin to unravel. Continuing to lie on the bolster, turn your toes under and straighten your knees, imagining that someone is pulling your ankles. This will straighten your legs and lengthen the lower back, moving the sacrum toward the legs. Continuing to activate the legs, take your right arm forward, turning your palm in, and exhaling, let it pull your ribs away from the lower belly. Continue to breathe steadily. Release and rest the head on your right hand, taking your left arm forward, palm turned in. And exhale to reach forward, increasing the length in the right body. The breath is quiet and steady. The legs are still long and active. Release and relax back onto the bolster completely. To come off the bolster, exhale and press up to hands and knees, and then rest back in child pose. This next pose is side stretch, and you'll only practice it on one side. Have your blanket rolled up into a bolster, and lie sideways on the bolster with the side of the body that feels longer, the side to which the upper spine has been pulled, pressing into the bolster. Either rest your head on your arm or put a blanket under your head. Now breathing in, take your arm up, and exhaling the palm forward, stretch the arm by the ear to gently lengthen that side of your body. Try not to arch your lower back, and pull your belly muscles gently to the spine. With each out-breath, elongate your spine a little more. Ease into this, no forcing. Inhale to release, and rest, continuing to lie on your side. Let's do this again, varying it a bit. Hold your hip, and inhaling, raise your straight leg. Exhale, lengthen the leg away from you to stretch the side body. And with your hand, gently pull your hip back, while rolling your side ribs the opposite way, slightly forward. Again, pull the belly muscles in to support the lower back. Keep the breath steady. Inhale, release. And rolling face down, press back to child pose. Lie on your back in constructive rest with a blanket under your head, and stretch your arms out wide at shoulder level. You may find that one shoulder rests on the floor more easily than the other. You can place a soft weight, a bag of rice will do, and put that on your elevated shoulder to help the muscles relax more. Now make fists with your hands and gently press the back of each wrist to the floor. As you do this, continue to breathe steadily and pull the front lower ribs towards the hips to avoid arching the lower back. Now bend your elbows slightly, bringing the wrists in a bit toward the head. And try this again. Press the back of each wrist down. This exercise that stabilizes your upper back can be quite difficult. Don't be surprised if you're unable to press the wrist of your rounded shoulder completely to the floor. You can place a block under that wrist as something to press against. As you're able to press both wrists down, you can bend the elbows a bit more, eventually coming to a point where the forearms are parallel with each other. Continue to move the front lower ribs toward the hips to avoid arching the lower back. And though this exercise is difficult, use a steady breath to make it as gentle as possible. Inhale to release, returning to constructive rest. For this variation of simple reclining twist, turn sideways to rest on your short side. That is not the side to which the spine has been pulled by scoliosis. Put a blanket under your head or rest your head on your arm. Now bend the knees to hip level, placing your hand on the floor near your chest. And exhaling, press down with the hand to push the side ribs into the shoulder blade, while keeping the shoulder blade itself fixed. This small but effective movement can help firm the shoulder blade to the back and reduce winging of the scapula. Continue to breathe steady, trying to deepen the slight rotation of this action with each new exhalation. Breathe in to release and relax for a moment. Let's repeat that exercise. As you exhale, press your hand to the floor and push the side ribs against the fixed shoulder blades. Hold this for several breaths, letting each new exhalation deepen the slight rotation. Inhale to release and roll onto your back to constructive rest. Raise your arms and we'll replicate the action you had on your side by exhaling and pulling straight arms into the shoulder while firming the upper back. Keep the front lower ribs moving toward the hips to avoid borrowing the movement from your lower back. Your lower back stays resting on the floor. One more time, exhale and pull your arms into the shoulders and firm your upper back. Expect that it will be more difficult on one side than the other. Inhale and relax to constructive rest. Kneel with your forearms on the mat and hold a block between your palms. Make sure your whole palm is on the block, including the heel of the hand. Position your elbows shoulder width apart. Put a blanket under your knees for padding if you wish. With your knees under your hips and your shoulders in line with your elbows, broaden your chest and front shoulders. Exhale and press down with your forearms. Your upper body will respond by lifting into and widening your shoulder blades. Continuing to press down the forearms, exhale and slowly push your hips behind your knees to create greater length in your side body and shoulders. Gently draw the belly to your spine to support your lower back and prevent a sway back. Go into heart opening pose slowly so you can feel if your arms or shoulders shift out of alignment. It's important to keep your elbows shoulder width apart, even if that means you're not able to go very far. And that's okay, since the intention of heart opening pose is to strengthen optimal shoulder alignment. Now return to shoulders over elbows. Pause for a moment and we'll do this again. Squeeze the block between your hands. Widen your chest, widen your upper back. Press down with your forearms. And exhaling, push your hips back as far as you can without losing the alignment of the elbows. You may be able to extend far enough back that you can bring your forehead to the floor. Inhale to release, and exhaling, slide back to rest on your heels in child pose. back in constructive rest with arms stretched wide, palms up. Place your feet on the floor at hip width, parallel, and with the ankles in line with the knees so your lower leg is perpendicular to the floor. Close your eyes and relax your back. Imagine your spine fluid, like a string of pearls resting on the floor. Breathe in, and as you breathe out, use your inner thighs to gently push the knees forward over the toes. This will elongate the spine, and as it lengthens, the hips and lower back will lift slightly into a variation of bridge shoulder stand. Try not to grip your glutes, and don't tuck your tailbone. Lower your hips back down and notice if your back seems a little longer. Let's do that again. Breathe in, press your feet to the floor, and on an exhalation, use your inner legs to take your knees forward. Again, no gripping of the glutes, so the action of the spine will be more easily elongated. Keep the breath steady. And lower yourself back down, hips last. We'll do this one more time, adding another element. Breathe in, press your feet to the floor. And breathing out, push the knees gently forward, elongating the spine and lifting your hips slightly off the floor. Now, on your next out breath, pull your inner thighs towards the hips. This will bring your knees back, and it will lift your hips higher, bringing the spine off the floor. Let the spine come up fluidly, like a string of pearls. Remember not to tuck your tailbone. Inhale to release, coming back to the floor, one vertebra at a time, hips last, and hug your knees. I recommend consciously resting on your back for about 5 minutes after you practice. If you have scoliosis, consider practicing deep relaxation pose with your head on a blanket. You may also be able to relax tight muscles by putting a weight on your tighter shoulder, as well as one on the opposite hip. Now close your eyes and fall back into the floor. Let your closed eyes help you to become aware of your internal body. You can feel it by letting the breath move you. You can hear the inner body as you listen to the sound of the gentle breath moving out and in. Your breath is like a heartbeat. Your breath is the heart of your vital body, Imagine each breath pumping new life through you, just as the heart pumps blood. Tension builds up in our bodies, making us shrink and become tight. As you continue to feel the breath pumping new life through you, let this inner movement expand you, so you're no longer shrinking, no longer tight. If the mind wanders, bring it back to your internal body by focusing on your breathing. And rolling to your side, rest your head on your arm, bending your knees. And now sit up into a comfortable crossed legs position for a few more breaths.